999ers risk their lives every day, keeping us safe.
My heart was racing, but you just do it because you're a police officer.
But all too often, they're abused and attacked.
I have been punched, kicked, spat at, sworn at. I think most of us have.
These personal attacks on police, firefighters and paramedics are at an all-time high.
I could feel the blood running through my shirt.
He grabbed me around the throat with both his hands,
Leaving them traumatised and unable to work.
It's then left me questioning, is this the job that I want to carry on with?
But while the violent criminals responsible are hunted down and brought to justice, our protectors fight to get well and back on the job.
I'm not going to get beaten by somebody who decided they're going to try and hurt me.
Ready to face the next critical incident.
Stand still! Police routine, just show yourself!
Coming up. In North Yorkshire, 2 officers from the Roads Policing Unit take a hit when a car thief is making a bid to escape.
Knowing what was coming, I just braced for impact.
When she's the victim of an assault, a paramedic experiences serious mental health issues.
I spent a week confined to the house in the end, just so anxious that any male in general would approach me.
But to aid her recovery, she learns how to help others who are also suffering.
Doing that course in itself has been a huge step forward in my recovery.
And the West Midlands Drone Unit demonstrates how their high-tech equipment plays an essential part in today's policing.
I've been deliberately rammed off my bike from that vehicle.
Cars can be one of the most dangerous weapons if careless drivers are at the wheel or if criminals are trying to evade arrest.
We had no braking action through that junction at the 100 miles an hour. I'm constantly risk assessing this pursuit.
Offenders attempting to make an escape can leave a trail of destruction, putting other motorists and pedestrians at risk, and they'll use every trick in the book to get away, no matter what the cost. This makes policing the UK's roads unpredictable, requiring specialist tactical skills and nerves of steel. It's a dangerous place to be, and PC Craig Taylor doesn't want to be identified.
I would say it's an extremely dangerous job, and it's probably the most dangerous job within the police because you're exposed to high-speed pursuits. You're driving at high speed to get to incidents, to deal with collisions. You're working on the motorway where you're a pedestrian, which can be dangerous in itself. That's added on top of the risk of people attacking you, which you've got to be aware of as well as a police officer.
On Great Britain's roads, it's estimated there were just over 23,000 serious injuries and nearly 1,400 deaths in the year ending 2021. And PC Jerry Tunney is one of the officers who deals with these incidents on a daily basis.
On roads policing, we deal with a lot of road traffic collisions, including serious injury, fatal, life-changing RTCs, trying to make the roads a safer place by dealing with people who are committing road traffic offences, drink and drug drivers, and also criminals who like to try and exploit our road networks. We try and disrupt those as well.
Being part of the roads policing team in North Yorkshire means Jerry and Craig cover a serious amount of ground.
We could end up anywhere in North Yorkshire. We have 6,000 miles of roads that we have to patrol, and we go where the job takes us.
In November 2021, Jerry and Craig were on patrol together in York.
I was driving and we'd been over in the York area. As we started to drive back towards Harrogate, I was made aware that a stolen motor vehicle had hit one of the cameras in York city centre, so we turned back and went into York looking for that vehicle.
Their sergeant, Paul Cording, was following events back at base.
I had what we call the AMPR stack up, On the computer, that tells me any vehicles of interest that are passing through our area. One popped up. It was a stolen vehicle that we had been looking for earlier in the shift, actually. So I popped onto the York Channel and shouted at my colleagues. Then I overheard that there was a burglary to come in. You become a bit cynical in this job, call it a copper's nose, a sixth sense. But I thought this is too coincidental.
So we went to that area, having been looking for this stolen vehicle, which was nearby. On arrival to the location where the burglary was actually happening, this stolen vehicle, I caught it out the corner of my eye, was pulling out of a side street.
Literally within seconds, I heard Craig shout up saying they were behind this vehicle and that vehicle was failing to stop.
We activated blue light sirens, but it wasn't stopping. It was going over the side of the road, driving dangerously. The pursuit started from that point.
Craig was giving the commentary, giving directions of travel, speed, risk, so that our control room know what's going on, so that other officers could locate where we were, either try and get ahead to maybe put Stinger out or enforce some sort of tactical options. So I was able to concentrate on the driving.
We don't know who's driving it and what they're willing to do. We chased it for quite a while. It had displayed dangerous driving, wrong side of the road. We've then gone onto the main road. He stopped at the traffic lights. He's either going to reverse ram us and try and damage his vehicle so we can't chase him anymore, and then he can get away, or he's going to get out and try and attack us, or he's going to get out and try and run off. It's generally one of them things. You just don't know what people have on them, you know, knives, guns these days, and that's the thing that you just have to, you know, be aware of. As soon as the reverse lights went on, I thought, yep, he's going to reverse ram us.
Knowing what was coming, I just braced for impact. Sort of held onto the steering wheel and kept my foot planted on the brake of our vehicle to try and sort of cause, I suppose, minimal damage to us and the car. And he just planted his foot on the accelerator and rammed our police vehicle.
Criminals will try and ram police vehicles because they want to take them out of action. They just want to get away. What they are doing, in fact, is taking a valuable asset off the road. They have absolutely no regard for their own or other safety, and their only goal is to get away from the police, whatever action that means they have to take.
It came back at quite a speed and caused quite an impact, really. I'd say we're doing 20, 25 mile an hour.
But the adrenaline's going at that point, so you sort of don't take it on board fully. So for us, it was a case of we need to get hold of him, so we jumped out of the vehicle.
For whatever reason, he's not being able to then put it back into first gear. I could see him frantically trying to set off, and as we opened the passenger door, we were conscious of that. I managed to grab him, and I'm worried that he's going to set off with me half hanging out the car. I could get run over, you know, as happened to me in the past. So I've managed to grab hold of him, he's fighting with me. Jerry's at the other side trying to stop him from kicking her, and I'm trying to stop him from setting off in the vehicle.
The male was trying to resist arrest with us. He wasn't for giving up at all. So getting handcuffs on him and things was quite difficult at the time. But we managed to, between us, obviously take control of him. I've managed to handcuff him, and then Craig pulled him out through the passenger door, at which point my colleagues have turned up from response and also roads policing, and we've managed to detain him, and they've put him in the back of a police vehicle at that point.
With the offender in handcuffs, Jerry and Craig had a chance to take in the impact of the ramming.
It's afterwards, when you've sort of managed to sit down and relax a little bit, and your muscles relax, and that's when you sort of think, I've hurt myself a little bit here. I've caused a bit of damage to my back, and also my right shoulder is in a little bit of pain.
Over years, I've been injured numerous times in police collisions because of people ramming us, because people, you know, putting us in harm's way. On this occasion, I've jolted my back, which has been quite sore for quite a while. It's resulted in being difficult wearing my body armour because it's quite heavy, and it's just something I have to live with. It's part and parcel of the job, and unfortunately, you just have to, you know, try and get on with it.
The offender was convicted of burglary, aggravated vehicle taking, driving whilst disqualified, and driving without insurance. He was given 36 months in prison, but is currently appealing his sentence. Despite their injuries, Jerry and Craig feel it was a satisfying night's work.
I look back on the incident and I feel we did a good job. We worked really well together as a team. We took someone off the streets who is causing misery to other people.
At least we caught him in the act, though.
Yeah, you don't often get that at all, do you?
No.
You normally get a report after the event.
Yeah, not when it's happening live. Yeah. It's good, good we got him, though. Don't like burglars, do we?
No.
He'd been committing numerous burglaries leading up to this. He committed another burglary, so I felt really good about getting him locked up. I got him off the road, so I feel brilliant about that.
And although ramming attacks will unfortunately continue, officers are equipped to handle these volatile situations.
It's something that we are acutely aware of. We're trained to a very high standard, both as advanced drivers and TPAC drivers, so it's something we're aware of, and we need to make sure that we can, where possible, react to it. But it's part of our role, if you like, to reduce the number of people killed and seriously injured on our roads and deny criminals the use of the road, which is that sort of like two-pronged attack that we use. And I think on this occasion we've done both. We've taken a criminal off the road, but also we've probably made the roads a safer place for other people.
Ruth Fisher became a frontline paramedic 5 years ago after working for the St John Ambulance charity while at uni.
Really fell in love with first aid, providing medical care and learning all about the body and how it works. Started doing festivals and just absolutely loved being on that front line, going out, new things every day. It was just fantastic. And then I made the decision, actually, I want to go and do this for my life. You know, my dad's done it for 20 years. Time for me to go and do it.
Having worked as a frontline paramedic in Glasgow, Dad Alan was apprehensive about his daughter taking the same route.
When Ruth wanted to become a paramedic, there was definite concerns. I was quite worried because we'd seen a lot of injuries to colleagues and we'd seen an increase in the general threats and risks. There was a lot of concern how she would cope with it, how safe she would be wherever she was working and how it would affect her.
I think my dad was horrified at the thought of me becoming a paramedic. He worked in Glasgow and he saw the really rough side back in the day. But once we started kind of the process, really supportive and really helpful with the things I didn't understand. What I love about my job is not only that it's an honour and a privilege to be kind of invited into birth and death, the two most pinnacle points of our lives, and often very private points in our lives, but you know, we're welcomed in.
But Ruth's all too aware it's a role that comes with risks.
Working on the front line, we have an increase in violence against our staff at the moment, and it does take its toll on the morale as much as the physical and mental well-being of everyone. Very early in my career, I lost my grandfather quite suddenly to cancer, and I never really dealt with it as a clinician, or my clinical brain never really dealt with it. But I then came back to work and straight away I was going to people that were almost identical to my grandfather, had the same conditions, were dying. And as a very young and almost inexperienced paramedic, I started taking those ghosts home with me.
With Ruth already struggling mentally, a traumatic call-out pushed her over the limit.
My stress container overflowed, as we call it, when somebody that was my age lived around the corner from my house, took his own life, and I attended. I was exhausted mentally and physically, and it floored me. It took me months to kind of come to terms with the fact that actually we couldn't do anything to help. I was constantly at work. I didn't like being alone at home. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating. I withdrew from my friends. I wouldn't go out and see them. And eventually, I'd had enough. I was completely overwhelmed, and I had to take a break and seek help.
Ruth was diagnosed with PTSD.
I was experiencing flashbacks, really intrusive ones that would just stop me in my tracks. I would have anxiety. My heart would race, I'd get palpitations, I'd be sweating just at the thought of driving past the house or going to another job identical.
Ruth turned to her workmates to get her through.
As part of my recovery, I spent a lot of time around people on station, so colleagues that understood what I'd been to, what I'd gone through. They encouraged me to go out and spend time with them just for a coffee or a walk. They started checking in on me daily, if not hourly at some points, when they knew I was going low.
With the help of her friends, Ruth overcame her mental health struggles and returned to work. But on a call out in August 2018, she faced her biggest challenge yet.
We were called to go to a male collapsed in the street in the middle of Leeds city centre. It seemed okay, but we encouraged him just to jump onto the ambulance. I had met this gent before, and he was okay, but unfortunately he'd taken drugs and wasn't feeling very well. So we did some checks, and it looked like he had a chest infection. Offered to take him down to the hospital, and we got ready to go down to the nearest A&E. He's nice and reclined on the stretcher, and seemed physically a lot better than he was when we'd found him. I started asking more questions about did we have any pain, and he complained of stomach pain and said, can you have a feel, which is part of our normal assessment for somebody that's got stomach pains. I started having a little feel. Next thing I know, he's got his hand running up the inside of my leg, to which I've kind of gone, no, not appropriate, stop. And he just keeps going until he's got a proper grip between my legs. He's grabbed my other wrist with his free hand to try and drag my hand down to his crotch. At which point I've wrenched kind of my hands away, wrenched his hand away and crossed to the front to my colleague. I stuck my head through the window and just gone, I can't believe that's just happened. My colleague was fantastic, pulled over straight away and was like, you're all right. And I've turned around and he's got his trousers round his legs. He's tried to grab me, get on the stretcher, had me by both wrists, at which point I've pulled away quite viciously and tried to get out. I shot out onto the street as my colleague came running round and saw that the gentleman was sat on the stretcher, trousers round his legs.
Later, after the incident, Ruth returned to frontline duties, but the attack had left her terrified.
I went back to work for one shift, and by the end of that shift, I was on the ceiling. I was so anxious, and in my head, I'm thinking this is going to happen again.
Still to come, firearms officers chase down criminals with links to gun crime. And we follow the West Midlands drone team as they carry out surveillance during a football match.
There's been a little bit of disorder, but he's just called up on the radio and asked us just to keep an eye on it.
High speeds and desperate criminals can be a lethal cocktail. But when firearms are involved, it's even more risky. In September 2019, armed officers pursued a vehicle linked to gun crime. As the car sped through central Birmingham traffic, an item was thrown out of the window.
Something's been thrown from the vehicle. Something's been thrown from the vehicle.
It was later found to be a loaded revolver, recklessly ditched in a busy street.
Yes, sir. He's in the middle of the carriageway. He's crossing over. It's going to go down Ingerfield Square.
With their options limited, The suspects dump the vehicle and make off on foot. The police spot them on the run. After circling the area, armed officers catch up to the men and make an arrest. Another man was dragged to a garden shed and arrested.
Get down! Now! Get down!
One man later admitted possession of a firearm. He was sentenced to 8 years and 2 months in prison. The driver admitted to dangerous driving and was sentenced to 12 months in prison and banned for 18 months. Drones are becoming a familiar sight in our skies. The last few years has seen an explosion in popularity for these small aerial cameras. They've become a fun recreational activity for some. But for police forces across the nation, they are a significant weapon in the policing arsenal. The West Midlands Police have been using drones for the last 5 years. These eyes in the skies have proved so successful that in 2019, the force introduced a new core drone unit, able to offer 24/7 support across 348 square miles. Sergeant Jonathan Peters is one of the West Midlands Police drone pilots.
The drone unit was established around 4 years ago, where there were around 4 or 5 pilots and 1 sergeant. He was one of the first in the country, so initially we had to legitimise the need for it and find out how it would benefit the community and our colleagues. Now we have around 40 plus pilots based within different departments. There are pilots within operations who deal with spontaneous deployments, so we help our response colleagues searching for offenders and missing people. We also do pre-planned deployments, such as looking for cannabis factories and doing recce's for warrants, so checking out the rears of gardens, perhaps where police officers can't get to. It's not something that we're trying to hide. We're very overt around what we do with drones. We're not spying on people, for example.
Having a police presence in the sky is nothing new. The National Police Air Service was established in 2012 to provide aerial cover for 43 forces in England and Wales. But the drone wins hands down when it comes to a speedy deployment.
The helicopter is now a regional or a nationwide asset, so it could come from many, many miles away and not always be available. Whereas we've got drones now in the West Midlands Police. We'll have a double crew car, at least one double crew car, ready on the ground, kitted up, ready to deploy, and it can be at any incident within minutes. Bronze control from Drone 1.
PC's Paul Davis and Matt Lang are both members of the core drone team.
People think you just stand there and have a bit of a fly around and it's just like playing on the Xbox. It's not. There's a lot of exams to do. We have a 2-week programme. The first week you're learning some fairly basic manoeuvres, but there's a lot of law and legislation that goes with it. And we train our officers in-house with that, and then they go out and get assessed by an external assessor that is accredited to the Civil Aviation Authority. And then the second week, if they've passed all that, they then have the kind of more police side operational training.
So this is the smallest of our aircrafts. This is the DJI Mini 2. We use this really for training and indoor flights to bring on the pilot skills. Literally folds out and can be up in the air literally within minutes. Absolutely love working with the drones. I'm a bit of a geek technically anyway. I've had my own drones for 6-7 years, so to me this is sort of like a dream job for me, and why wouldn't I like this job? It's great.
The purpose of our unit is to support the officers on the ground. They do an incredible job, and it can be incredibly dangerous at times. Their safety is our priority, so we're hopefully in the near future going to be able to stream live to their own mobile devices, so they'll be able to see if there's some crazy dog on the other side of a wall and they're about to jump over the top of it, we'll be able to tell them there's a dog on the other side, or there's a man with a machete, or whatever danger there is, or there's a large drop. And we're able to inform them of what's actually around.
The team have taken part in some significant operations.
We've managed to find and locate many missing individuals and vulnerable people that needed our help. On many occasions we've caught offenders running outside of buildings for burglaries, where normally we wouldn't be able to get to.
And the drone proved vital when Matt and his colleagues were in pursuit of 2 car thieves.
We had a job where a car had been stolen. The car had been dumped. 2 people from that vehicle then made off over back gardens, which is often the way. Fortunately, we had the drone on scene, and using the thermal camera, we were able to scan the back gardens, and fairly swiftly we found a couple of guys sitting quietly on a garden bench in someone's back garden. I don't think they really knew that the drone was there until we actually put the floodlight on them. And then their arms shot up and they were like, oh. Then the dog unit was directed in, and the response officers also came in as well. And we got a couple of offenders from that, and recovered the car as well, which was a positive result all round.
We get a lot of requests from our neighbourhood colleagues who have intelligence to suggest that there's a cannabis grow in a dwelling. A lot of these are in highly populated areas near to schools. We're able to search that address to see if there's an abnormal heat source, where that can be looked at by a magistrate who can then decide whether a warrant is or is not granted. We've recovered millions of pounds worth of cannabis, working with the neighbourhood teams and the cannabis disposal team, and with the local councils too.
The drone unit is regularly used to assist with crowd control. And today, Matt and Paul are policing a Premier League football match.
Bronze control from Drone 1.
Drone 1, go ahead.
Yeah, Drone 1, just to let you know that we're here in support of the Villa game today. We're set up, ready to launch as and when requested. We will be live streaming as usual through to yourselves and Silver Commander.
99% of people that do go to football matches go there to watch football. It's a family event. We're there to help deter people from committing low-level crime and antisocial behaviour before and after those football matches.
So what we're doing now is setting up the live stream back to our control centre in Aston. Basically, we can transmit the images from the controller, from the aircraft to anywhere or anyone within West Midlands Police Force.
The matchday commander can see the footage from the drone, so when he or she receives any information intelligence around what's going on during phase 1, which is before the match, and during phase 3, which is after the match, it can then help them make that decision as to whether they want to deploy police officers to deal with something or not. It may mean that you don't have to have as many police officers on the ground during that football match, and they can be deployed to other demands across the force.
This is the railway station, and this is where fans will disembark. We will monitor them coming off there, and you'll get a big crowd of them off here, and they go up to this island here, the Whitton Island. There's a pub there that they might go in for a cheeky libation. We'll monitor that whole area there in case there's any issues of crowds or if there's any unrest. If we attend a public order event, we can see things a lot quicker than officers on the ground would be able to see them. And our pilots are trained in crowd behaviour, so we can almost preempt what's going to happen. So if there's going to be any kind of fights or any disagreements amongst football fans or protesters, that's the thing, we can spot that quickly. We can stream it live back to the control room, and they'll be able to deploy the guys on the ground. Probably a lot quicker than they would normally.
So the Bronze Commanders have got a few concerns around the pub where some of the supporters are congregating. There's been a little bit of disorder in the pub about half an hour ago. He has put resources there now, but he's just called up on the radio and asked us just to keep an eye on it. So we've got the image on the screen now, and this is being now live fed back to the control room.
So we've got quite a big crowd here who were surging onto the road. They're in good spirits, they're not being too rowdy, but they all got excited, saw the mates, and they all kind of surged across the road, blocked the road, which is why we've now got officers there just making sure they stay on the pavement. This is where the drone comes into its own, really. We can monitor that, we can flick up and have a look at the pub at the top of the road, and this is being streamed live back to our commander, who's able to then manage the situation.
As soon as it starts to get dark, we'll switch over to the thermal cameras. Things like tracking suspects or cars or anything like that, it'll be glowing up at night, especially in this cold temperature, and we'll be able to easily follow it. We've also got on the large drone and on the small drone the spotlight, so we can illuminate a subject and then switch back to the daylight camera and have that subject illuminated as well.
Lots and lots of people have turned up, so the guys on the ground will be using the pictures that we're giving them so they can see how crowded it is, so they can then feed that back into the guys at the turnstile. If we go back to the main pub where a lot of people wait, there's only about 40 or 50 people left in there at the moment, so that's all very calm. It's all going swimmingly, to be honest.
The crowd seems to be under control, but the officers have spotted something that's concerning them.
So at the moment, we've got a drone, we don't know whose it is, quite a big one by the look of it, directly over the top of the ground. It could be the TV, but we haven't had any notifications to say anyone was flying around here. But it's directly over the top of the ground, it's just sitting there at the moment. So what I'm trying to do is identify, not to get near it, because that would be horribly dangerous, but to actually identify who's flying it and where it's being flown from.
If it's just a member of the public flying over the ground to get some images of the ground, and then obviously the safety issues there, because if that was to fall from the sky, who could it land on? It could land on the spectators, could land on the players. People out there who buy drones, think they're toys, and don't do things by the book or legally, and they're the ones that we're trying to sort of educate, really.
After further investigation, the drone turned out to be a major broadcasting company, as the officers had suspected. It's been a successful patrol, and there have been no issues with the crowd.
Coming to the end of phase one now, so most of the fans are in. You can see here through the thermal imaging camera. Most of the people are inside the game. There's a few players on the pitch, so almost ready to kick off now in the next 10 minutes.
Back in Leeds, having suffered from serious mental health issues during her career, paramedic Ruth Fisher sought help and got back to frontline duties. But in August 2018, she was attacked by a man in the back of an ambulance.
He's tried to grab me, get on the stretcher, had me by both wrists, at which point I've pulled away quite viciously and tried to get out. I just said, I'm not going back in the back, but we need to go to hospital, let's just get to hospital. I got in the front and just drove, completely numb to everything, didn't know what had happened. Never had anything like that on the job before. And we got to hospital, took him in, and I just kept my distance, let my colleague deal with him, because I didn't like how he was looking at me. Just made me very on edge. I'd written everything that happened down in my documentation. I fully, in case anything came back from it in terms of his treatment. We drove down to the nearest station, which is literally a mile away, and I just knocked on the door to the supervisor and said, read this. I remember sliding down the door and just put my hands on my head, and all I heard was him on the radio going, we need the police for the sexual assault of a member of staff. And I just burst into tears, and it finally hit me what had happened.
After Ruth makes a statement, the police issued a warrant for the attacker's arrest.
They tried to find him, being no fixed abode, so living on the streets, we didn't know where we would be. I tried to come back to work the next day. I was due to be on a night shift, and I was on edge because I knew that I'd had nothing from the police to say he'd been found. And it was scary, because I knew that my next job could be him.
After a week, the police arrested the perpetrator, but he failed to appear in court on 2 occasions.
It was a very rough few months, knowing that actually I could bump into him walking down the street. I couldn't go out in town. I spent a week confined to the house in the end, just so anxious that any male in general would approach me.
He was finally sentenced in court, but due to ill health, Ruth couldn't be there.
This was about October, and I'd actually been admitted to hospital with a really bad chest infection by this point. But I woke up the night he was meant to be in court, screaming, and I hadn't realised I pressed my buzzer, but I'd been dreaming that he was in my room. It had affected me that badly that I knew he was in court and I couldn't be there.
The offender was convicted of sexual assault. He was given a 17-month prison sentence and was placed on the sex offenders register. Ruth went straight back on the front line after the incident, but struggled to cope.
I went back to work for one shift, and by the end of that shift, I was on the ceiling. I was so anxious, uptight, I was snapping at people, and I was just ready for a day off. I went into the town centre in Harrogate the next day, and I had a panic attack because there were strange men walking past me that I didn't know. And in my head, I'm thinking this is going to happen again.
As quite often is the case, in the months that followed, Ruth went through varying emotions. Initially, as I've seen many times with our staff, that they brush themselves off and want to get on with the job, but sometimes find that another incident can trigger thoughts and feelings from a previous incident, and in Ruth's case that's what happened. So initially she thought she was okay, but further down the line she realised that she needed that additional support.
But in her time of need, Ruth felt she couldn't confide in her loved ones.
Following my assault, I withdrew from my family. I didn't really want to talk to my mum, I didn't really want to talk to my dad, particularly with my dad being paramedic. I just didn't want him to know that I'd been assaulted and I was struggling with the job. My understanding of his generation of paramedics has always been stiff upper lip, you just get on with it. And I was very keen to kind of show him that's what I was doing. But as I came to accept my own health and my own well-being as a priority, I realised actually that's not what I should be doing, and I started to open up. But it took a good 1.5 to 2 years to start doing that with both my parents.
When I heard that Ruth had been assaulted, she had kept it quite low-key. I was worried about what had happened, worried that it could have been far, far worse. There's always that concern, what if? We felt a bit lost. We felt very concerned.
At work, Ruth came to the conclusion she could no longer stay in the role she loved.
A couple of months after the incident, I was given the option to move to another ambulance station to work as a solo responder, as well as working in HQ with the Clinical Pathways team. And this really helped with my recovery from the incident and with feeling confident in my job again and feeling safe. The move itself was very almost cathartic because I was off the front line, and it was a really big boost for my mental health.
At home, Ruth has taken comfort from her beloved cats.
So I got Loki and Simba when they were 12 weeks old from Cats Protection, and I got them a couple of days after the assault, and that was the day that I struggled in the town centre and had a panic attack. But as soon as I came home with these guys and had a week just with them, yeah, they made everything better.
As part of her recovery, Ruth trained in ultra-white collar boxing and competed in a charity fight.
The job we do can be really difficult on your mental and your physical well-being. So you need something that you can come home and just switch off to what you've done during that day. I use it now as a stress relief and as a decompressor at the end of a bad week or a bad day.
The counselling Ruth received at work proved vital in her recovery. And now, to help colleagues who may be in crisis, she's become a mental health first aid instructor.
What do you need right now? What can we do? Doing that course in itself has been a huge step forward in my recovery. And now, having done the instructor course and delivering it to my colleagues, as well as providing the support that I can through my job, you can't even measure how much it's done for my mental health and my well-being. It's why I actually get up and go to work these days. You know, you're always more than welcome to ring me. Okay.
Something that came out positively from Ruth's experiences was that she'd undertook her mental health first aid training, which means that she can help other members of staff that may be suffering with mental health and well-being, or that have suffered from an incident similar to Ruth.
All right, so when are you next due in?
It's really good that she can use her experiences and pass on those experiences to others and help them and support them through some really difficult times.
I understand that it's scary coming back to work after something like that. One of the reasons I took so long to say I need help was I was terrified I was going to lose my job. I was absolutely horrified at the thought of being struck off the register because actually my mental health was suffering. And it was all stigma-based. And it didn't happen. I got all the support I needed. And I think having that awareness as an organisation, as managers, as members of staff on the ground, it will do a lot moving forward in allowing people to look after their mental health and their own well-being without fear of reprimand.
After a difficult few years, Ruth is ready to face the world again.
So tonight we're going out to celebrate my 30th birthday. So this is actually the first time I'll have been out since I was assaulted whilst at work, which it makes me apprehensive, but I know I'm with a really good crowd and I'm really happy to be going back out.
Happy birthday. Thank you. Still looking good at 30. After what happened to Ruth, which happens to quite a lot of people in service, it's important that they do get back out there, back to normal life, and can just do things they enjoy again, such as spend time with friends when they're ready.
Life is good, and the sun's shining, literally and figuratively. Moving forward, there is light, nothing but light. It's great.